welcome to Show Up, Stand Out online visibility series for entrepreneurs. My name is Juliette Stapleton. I'm a visibility strategist bringing you amazing entrepreneurs from all over the world. Today, I am extremely excited because apparently there is another twin that I found across the globe, and we are bringing you the power. We're going to talk about a lot of empowering stuff. So tune in, share this video to other people who need to hear this message. Let me introduce you to Jentrey Potter. And Jentrey empowers women to be the shero of their own story by helping women transform 12 areas of their lives and turn their pain into their passion. And that's such an amazing mission you're on.
Thank you. Yes.
Have you always been the shero of your own life?
No, a lot of it has come from my own life experiences of overcoming a lot of hard things. There was a time in my life where I really struggled with depression and anxiety, even suicidal thoughts, and really just kind of lost my identity. And so, I realized, that if I wanted things to change, that I had to show up and stand up for myself. And no one was going to do it for me. And yes, we have tools and we have resources and things that we can use to support us. But ultimately, nothing's going to happen unless I decide that I'm going to do the work and that I want things to look different. And so that's where the Shero started.
Wonderful. I agree 100%. And I had a similar thing. I didn't go as deep to sort of go into depression and the dark side of life. That's just me. But, there was a whole decade in my life, actually, that I felt not in control. And so there was time when my whole 30s, I felt very disempowered. Other people were making decisions for me, everywhere I was. And it's a horrible place to be. I really do think that we have to take advantage. We have to step into being in control of our own decisions, of our own life. There's nothing egotistic about it. You're not hurting people you love by being like this. It's actually only making things better, in my opinion. And right. It took some time as well to transform. And so how did you end up, how did you end up actually helping other people with this? So one thing is to help yourself.
Right. So what most people don't realize, because I look pretty young and fun online, is that I actually have 5 kids and I have been married for 17 years. I know, everyone's like, what? So I really went through this time of a loss of identity when I had my kids, my youngest especially. I just came to this realization that I'm not happy and I'm not the mom that I want to be. I'm not the woman that I want to be. And I was confused about a lot of things in my life. And so I started looking around for answers for myself and what I wanted for my family, and really what was my bigger purpose, because I really didn't even feel like I had a sense of purpose. Obviously, my children is always going to be a piece of my purpose, but I wanted more and I didn't know where to find it. And I was involved with essential oils at the time, and I came across this woman that I just really looked up to. She was the top in the company, and she was certified as a health coach. And I just thought, what is that? I want to know more about that. And so I started looking more into it, and I ended up going through the certification for the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. What I love about that program is it's very holistic. There's a lot of things that I use actually currently in my coaching where I kind of integrate that. And then I also ended up going through what's called the Gibson Banning Method. And it's a very intensive, you could call it life coaching, but it's really just unlearning all the patterns that we have, the limiting beliefs and where they come from. And so I really take both of those elements of the integrative nutrition coaching and the Gibson Banning method, and I meld them together. And really it's looking at 12 key areas. And so as I looked around me and I saw other moms who felt, like they weren't happy and they were losing their sense of purpose. And then I look in the corporate world or in the entrepreneur world, just women really struggle to find that balance of who am I supposed to be in this world? If we're a mom, especially, we get that mom guilt and, that confusion around like, am I allowed to work, or do I want to be in the corporate world? Do I want to work from home? What does that look like? And so, I really became passionate about it. Another little tiny, it's not tiny, but I don't necessarily, it's not in the forefront of my business, but it's still an element of the work that I do. I'm super passionate about advocating for women, especially around preventing sexual violation. I was a Me Too. I overcame sexual abuse in my childhood. And it's just something that I feel has really disempowered the women in the world. Not just women, children, men, I guess really everyone. And, you know, I went through a 90-day journey where I really discovered who I was. And it actually taught me how to do Facebook Live, of all the crazy things. So it was before Facebook Live existed. It was 90 days of going through your deepest, darkest stuff. A lot of the work was some of the training that I now have with that Gibson banning method. And we were sharing it in a private Facebook group and video logging all the deepest, darkest, everything. So scary, so vulnerable, so raw, but so healing. And so I really learned how to see myself through video. And then not long after that, Facebook Live released, and I was just like, oh, wow, I have this free platform where I can have a voice and I can continue my self-exploration and my self-journey and my healing. And I can also empower other women. And so I started talking about some of these things, and it wasn't without, you know, repercussion of my family freaking out and all these things, but I've had to block my mom on Facebook. Like, it's just, you know.
That happens. I honestly, I have members of the family blocked on Facebook, and I went through a similar thing. So it's actually something you shouldn't be afraid of doing.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Because, you know, there's generational stuff that, you know, different generations, I think, were taught to shove things down and hide it and put on your perfect face and keep the secrets. And it's not a healthy way to continue moving forward for anyone. And so, yeah, it's not ideal. But yeah, sometimes you have to block the family members to live and speak and be in your truth.
It comes down to the fact that you can't control what other people think about you, and you can't control their reactions. And sometimes they just don't need to know what you're saying, but you need to be on track. That's how I see it too. And you just do whatever it takes. You block them, or they don't need to see. And if they don't see, they don't know. There's not going to be, you know, negativity between you, which doesn't even need to be there. It's just a judgment and everything. So I absolutely support that decision, you know, and as I said, I've done it myself.
Well, thank you.
Although my mom is very supportive. She doesn't understand English, so she's like just writing some supportive stuff in all caps on all my posts. You know,
that's cute.
Yeah. So let me just take this from, with that's actually really what you just mentioned about, you know, doing a video log and saying a program or something. I went through a similar thing when I went in a personal development group, and I was doing 30 days. It was a Facebook Live because it was only 2017. We already had Facebook Live. But on day 4, my husband got diagnosed with cancer, stage 4 cancer, and it was like the end of the line. Sort of, we had no hope, and it turned into a video log. What happened then after that it is extremely healing. And overall, I do agree that doing Facebook Live and actually speaking up on video and being authentic, you don't have to reveal all the little dirty detail, but being authentic and being yourself and sharing so it can help somebody else is extremely healing for yourself.
Absolutely.
There's so much forgiveness, self-acceptance, love to yourself that you feel, and you're okay with things.
Well,
so I always encourage people to do it because of that.
Well, and I have to tell you this little secret, because some people, if they followed me long enough, they know this. But what's interesting is we look at people on social media and we look at where they're at now, and we just think, oh my gosh, I could never do what they're doing, right? I could never do Facebook Live. I can't, you know, even look at myself in the mirror or whatever. What most people don't realize is, and maybe you've been through this journey too, where I had to learn how to see myself. I used to hate seeing myself in pictures. I hated the sound of my voice. I hated seeing myself on video. It was like a foreign person to me. I was like, who is that talking back to me? Like, who? I don't know who that is, you know, and we get really uncomfortable. And I think that's really common for a lot of women. But, you know, I've been doing it for 3+ years now. And so it's just like riding a bike. I don't even think about it anymore. And if I mess up, I just laugh at myself, you know, and I really think what's powerful about doing videos like this, where you're looking back at yourself, is you really it's almost like a look in the mirror. There's nowhere else to look. Like, you have to look at yourself. You have to see yourself. I know some people, I've heard of some people that I've seen on different social media platforms or Facebook groups where they say, oh, I just cover the camera so I can't see myself. And it's like, well, that's not healthy.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is either. There's, the only thing, my problem would be that I just forget to look into the camera. and it's not that I look at myself, I look everywhere else. I'm like, but that's the only thing. But I do think that this is much better when you have yourself, because you're accepting yourself so much more. It is true that when you do it for a while, you don't, of course, sometimes you might not be looking well or feeling well. You might have, you had a difficult night or something, you're a little small. Well, then you do anything that it takes, makeup, everything. That's what, I always say these things, this is not just a natural thing. This is an effort you put in because, you already learned how you look. How can you look better for the video? We are women, we always want to look good, right? But doing something and then doing something once and then saying, oh, I hate the way I look, but everybody else in the world looks at you. That's how you look, right? So you're the critical one. You're right. Talking to other people. You're going out. You're going to the store. You're going to, people see. It's not that you're covered. You're in a box, or something. They just feed you, and so you talk to people. That's your voice, and it's about accepting yourself. And this is why this is such an amazing exercise. And I agree with you as well. I hate it, even though I always liked, posing on the pictures. But as you grow older, and you're not as, things change and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not that glamorous. I just pointed and did a selfie and this selfie looks horrible. Oh, I look horrible on pictures. You don't know that it takes 1,000 selfies to get one that's good.
You don't know how many it took to get that one, right?
So it's like, these are the things that you need to kind of discover, or maybe you're just have a bad camera on your phone. That's it. But things like that, you just have to push through and find the way, but it is, I agree with you. It's very empowering when you are pushing through it. And it's really good to keep a couple of videos from the very first, when you started. That's why I keep all the old videos in my group that I did when I didn't have a nice background, when, I didn't really look at how it looks on brand or not, because that's where we start. The main thing, do something, right? Right,
yeah. And I mean, there's days that, I kind of surprise myself because, we want to put our best face forward, right? We want to be all made up and beautiful. And especially if we're in business on social media, it's like, oh, I got to look good all the time. But, I've really learned how to let go of some of that too. Like right now I'm made up, right? But there's days where even in my business group, this is people who are part of my program. I'm just like, you know what? I am not getting ready today and I don't have to. And I might have the dark circles under my eyes. I might not look perfect, but I'm here for them, right? And it's like, I don't always have to be perfect all the time. And I think they actually appreciate that a little bit, that sometimes I can just be real and just be like, hey, today's a pajama day. No makeup, like wearing a hat, whatever. Because then they get to see like, oh, she's real too. Oh, she has her stuff too. I actually resort to Snapchat filters on those days when I don't look very well. I just slap a Snapchat filter. And there's some of them are just, beautify. They just change the lighting so you do look a tiny bit better. Brighten me up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, it is also important, of course. But then the other question is, look, when you're showing up, say if you have a good job somewhere where people are meeting you all the time, of course you're going to get dressed, put makeup on, do hair. You're not going to go in your pajamas to work. This is work, as far as I'm concerned, and it takes me 5 minutes to look like this. I'm not joking. So this is something that you just learn. So guys, if you're so critical to yourself that you're saying, well, I don't look like these two women, and I'm glad that we have this conversation now. Well, you know what? Just start showing up, right? I can guarantee you that within 2 years, you will love the way you look, because you'll start making adjustments and things like that, and you'll just start playing with it more. And and this is it's brilliant. There's still, we can be very critical. I'm like, oh, I need to lose 5 pounds,
Right.
Nobody else knows, right?
So this is so true.
So I have another question for you, and something that you mentioned, and it's 12 areas of life that you said that you're helping. Would you let us into what are those areas that you need to take control of?
Yeah, so the 12 areas, and I'll kind of explain how it works, because, you'll look at these areas and go, well, why is that something that's going to be helpful to me? Or we look at it from kind of the the traditional sense of what society has taught us that those areas look like, but I don't come at it from those approaches. So the first three areas are just your overall health and well-being. So we just look at, how do you really see yourself? Are you overcritical of yourself, whether it's your weight or anything related to that, or just how you feel in your body? Maybe you're not confident in your body, things like that. We have nutrition and physical activity. We talk about relationships. We talk about your social life and your home and family life. We talk about your business, your career, and what that looks like for you. We talk about money. We talk about, I'm sure I might miss a couple here and there, but we talk about your joy, your spirituality. It's just all these, it's really key areas that we all deal with, right? We all have, but we all struggle with at the same time. And it's like, why is that? If this is something that we do every day, why is this a struggle? And a lot of it is, again, that, our society, maybe it's our family that we were raised in. It could be, school connections, church, whatever influences we have, maybe our work, if you work in corporate, that has taught us, and even social media or, mainstream media has taught us that it has to look like this. We have to be this big around, to be accepting of our bodies. We have to have flawless skin. We have to have this picture perfect life. And it's just not realistic, right? We've been taught that we have to put this perfection forward. And yes, there's things that, we want to put our best foot forward, right? We're talking about, we want to look pretty and feel pretty and all that. But why? Why do we want to do that? Are you doing it as a means of self-torture, right? I usually have people rate themselves in these key areas when we first get started. And what's interesting is I not only have them rate themselves, but ask themselves why they rated themselves with that number. So, for example, if you're talking about physical activity and that person says, oh my gosh, I'm awesome. I go to the gym 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. Great. That's great. But why are you doing that? Are you doing that as a means of self-torture? Or are you doing that because you actually love your body and maybe you're training for something and you're really working hard? Right? So it's not always a one size fits all. Oh, I love my body and I'm going to the gym because I'm awesome and I'm going to have like 6-pack abs and these amazing muscles. I hear all the time, I've never done one myself, but I hear all the time of women who maybe they're a mom or something and they just want to have that confidence back in their body. And they'll go through all the rigorous training of doing like a bikini body competition or something like that. And they're shocked all the time when they see these women who've been doing these things most of their lives, these competitions, and they hate themselves. And it's like, what? How does that even work? They have the most fit bodies on the planet and they still hate themselves. Like it just doesn't add up.
I actually, honestly, and guys, if you are one of those people who are dedicated to, to do that, that's your thing. I don't want to undermine you, but I do think that a lot of times women who go and put themselves through so much, this is a lot and it is almost a torture. You have to question what is the real reason that you need to look like that, because it's like on the other side of normal good looking body, it's like too perfect, too much, for me personally, it's too much muscle anyway. And I do know how much pain you have to go through. Now I have to lose 5 pounds. And for me, it's pain because I love food and I love, food is my biggest pleasure. So it is torture for me to just even, go and deprive myself of these extra calories that can come from something lovely. But, so this, I hear you so much, this is interesting. And, in terms of beautification, I actually have to say, I love spending time doing makeups and everything. Like this is something that my husband says, who are you dressing up? Who are you putting this makeup on? I'm like, me. I love the transformation because there is a big transformation. I love the transformation.
But it's fun, right? Like first, and that's just the thing, like, and it can go the opposite. Some people might say, well, I don't do makeup at all, or I'm afraid of the gym, or I don't work out. When I'm not passing judgment on anyone on any end of the spectrum, right? If you're fit and like crazy hardcore, awesome. I mean, I know that takes a lot of hard work. And I mean, I don't have that kind of self-motivation. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I want. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, right? But it can be on the opposite end of the spectrum too, where you know, maybe you've had a bad experience with people who do that, and so you are self-judging, or maybe you have some, you know, chronic illness or something that prevents you from creating that. But what's really fascinating is you can look at the root causes of whether it's a chronic illness, you know, mental stuff going on, depression. It could even be the common cold. If you're sick all the time, you're even finding yourself maybe sick for a longer period of time than normal, or just getting sick frequently. There's something at the root of that that is your body communicating to you and saying, I'm not happy. This is not working for me. And it could be related to something completely different. Maybe you have a toxic relationship that you're dealing with. Maybe you hate your job and feel like it's sucking the life out of you. Maybe you have some trapped trauma that you've never really dealt with, and you're just shoving it down, and you're not really facing the stuff and working through it to free yourself from it.
It
right?
is so true. You know, it is so true. I had awful lower back issues, and sometimes I would be out of action for weeks, you know, in agony. And it was all because of the money related worries.
Oh my gosh, I was going to say that. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's lower back. It's always. And now I don't have any lower back, nothing, sciatica, nothing, all gone, because I don't worry about money at all. So even when I don't have it, I don't worry about it. It's just the way, you know, trusting everything's fine, and you know, and it's crazy how it affects your. So I totally. So it's always something inside, isn't it? Yes. I'm a big fan of deeping. Oh, sorry, deeping dig. I can't speak English.
Got it.
Digging deep. English is not my first language, but even if it was, that can happen. And if this was a live, this is a recorded one, but if it was a live video, guys, this is what happens.
This is live. This is what it is. I've had dogs running around, my cat's on my desk. I've had all kinds of stuff. It's life. We get to be real, people. That's life.
That's right. And you just move on. I like to make a joke, and then I just move on. And I never for a moment will be then thinking, oh my God, what was that? And it's just, you just say, well, look, it could have happened if we were in the same room, and all of a sudden, you know, you just have a block, right? Just it's a good demonstration. So I think the universe just demonstrated that little thing.
There you go. Yeah, it's perfect.
Jentrey, thank you so much for this. I think that there was so much amazing information. Look deep inside, you know, don't be too self-critical, and do take control of your life, because, you know, we're not here on earth to necessarily be a mother or a businesswoman or we're a whole creatures with so much, and we do have a mission. It's so important to remember who you are, or try, and if you forgot, if you lost it for a moment, go back and find it. And it's an amazing thing. I've been there, Jentrey been there, you know. It is an amazing thing when you step into control and say, you know what, no, I am on a mission, and this is my mission.
Well, I think it's giving yourself permission. Give yourself permission. Sometimes some of us need to let go of control. Some are over controlling, and some need to feel like they had permission to take ownership. So just take a self-assessment and ask yourself, like, where am I at? And am I happy in these areas, and why? And if I have, you know, like you said, if there's some pain or something that just keeps showing up for you, ask yourself and be honest with yourself. Like, what is that? What am I avoiding that I need to release? And it will change everything.
That's so true. By the way, when I say in control, I don't mean controlling your life. I do mean control of where you let go, or where, you know, with the flow. The flow is the main thing, isn't it? So where can we follow this up? If somebody just fell in love with you here, never seen you before, how do they stay in your world?
Yeah, so I'm not hard to find on Facebook. It's spelled Jentrey. So you'll see all my hot pink flying Shero stuff everywhere. So I have a Facebook page, Jentrey Potter - Be The Shero, or you can friend me on Facebook. I have also my website, and I have a I have a free offer for everyone. So all you have to do is go to my website, and it's betheshero.com. And Shero is a female hero. I think we all figured that out by now. I still have people ask me, what is that? It's like, really? So betheshero.com. And if you are on there for long enough, or you start waving your mouse over the exit, it'll pop up. You can put in your email, and you will automatically get the 5-step Shero rescue method. This tool I should be charging a lot of money for it, but this is my free offer to you. And it's really a process to help you get unstuck, to get out of and get aware of what is actually happening and how do you release it and how do you move forward. And anyone can do it. It's not just for women, even though it sounds feminine. You can do it with your children. You can do it with your husband. You can do it with anyone who's creating toxic anything in your life. And I would love to hear if people use it and what happens. So
fantastic, fantastic. Guys, be the Shero.com, and I'm going to have a link with this video anyway, so you just go into the description of this video and you will get the link. Jentrey, thank you so much for being my lovely guest today. I really enjoyed our conversation. It was lovely and so much value. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week with another episode of Show Up, Stand Out. And you know what? Take control back if you have lost it. If you're stuck, find the way to get unstuck. Start with the rescue method. Start with Jentrey's help. But you will not ever regret taking the step and just feeling in the flow. Eventually, you'll feel so much in the flow. You will thank the day you watched this video. Thanks again, everybody, and I will see you next week.
Thank you.